That's going to be a snap step. No. It is just me. And I may have been referring to the audience. Or just you guys listening in. You guy listening in. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of the chat and do this. But I just meant as modders, I guess, as we're doing this, you don't have a need for so much people. I mean, if you're doing some really unique shit, for example, a really good example of modular stuff. If you've ever played Silent Hill, or not Silent Hill, Resident Evil 7, the new one, the first person, terrifying ass game. That whole area is so modularly done that it kind of hurts. I think you pass by the same covered piece, like they've thrown a sheet or something over it, in the basement like 7 times. But it's a really good, because you're not focused on the game so much, or like the environment, as the animation makes you draw your attention to something else, or the gameplay is kind of leading you down this. You're not really focused on it unless, again, like me, you do this and you notice and you're like, bullshit, calling it. You got a whole goddamn team and you guys are still playing this game. But even in that big of an environment, it just goes to show you that this is still a heavily used thing. Look at this shit. I mean, we made a quick fucking house, and look, we're just gonna combine this. And then even on a bigger scale, make sure we're still on the same plane here. Again, I demonstrated this morning. Oh, thank you. Again, the variation's still hit and miss. There's still a lot of things we need to do here and there. For instance, there is some bare pieces here. It's like the sides here, which, I mean, we'll figure it out. This is just kind of us, what I'm really guilty of is looking at my shit as it goes and seeing like, hey, I really like this. This is cool. I'm terrible at that. I do it often, so. But it gives you kind of a, hey, I like the way this is going. What can I do to add on to that? And just to give you an example here of kind of the idea of what we're going for. And there'll be plenty of pieces that we have that are larger, shorter, taller. But so even here, like in this kind of setting, we can smash some of these together and make it look like one building on top. And the audience would never fucking know it because all they're seeing is this down here going on. So it looks like one dope-ass building on top. And see here, another kind of thing too, as you're modeling, especially environments, the lighting plays a big part. So obviously if you're going to be doing sunlight, sure. I'd say this is my 6th year. And most of that time is just learning what works and what doesn't. Yeah, so of the 5 or 6 years, really you're not learning the program or learning anything really drastically new. Okay, here's something just as an example. So whereas you would have a square, and this is a really good example of my learnings, what makes or breaks the difference here. So you cut this cube, you're going to make a doorway. Boop. Something like this, okay? So you want one of these to be a doorway. What a lot of beginner... Yeah. Well, and again, like this. What a lot of beginners will try to do is, oh, a doorway's pushed in. So you go through that thought process, you push it in, you're like, oh, fuck, I got this weird thing here. Then you go delete this, and you're like, well, I want to delete that one, but now I got this, and you got these fucking... What 5 or 6 years trains you to do is, okay, I want that door. I'm just going to pull this out. Clean mesh. And then I can even still cut through here. I can cut through here. That's the difference. Simple little shit like that that really makes or breaks it. And then, of course, I grab the back part in accident. But little things. Something that simple takes you a while to kind of drill into your head like, this is the way to do it. This is a better way. And like, you know, it's not so much that I know more than you or that I'm better. It's just that, well, and that's how you start. You start with dealing with that bullshit for like an hour, and then someone comes along and shows you, oh, I just extruded out. Fucking what? And that's the difference. I can't tell you how many times that, you know, I've helped someone along that they just, it's not that they don't know it or that I'm any better than them. I'll never tell you I'm a better modeler. The technique is there. Anyway, so what I was going to say is, especially in my settings, I do a lot of darker stuff. I mean, I'm kind of an emo modeler. So something you're not really paying attention to, in the sunlight, yeah, this is cool. But if you're doing a darker scene, what you don't realize is, what the fuck am I listening for? Here we go. So something you're not really doing is kind of keeping an eye on lighting effects and shit. So what I like to do every now and then is just pop a light in. And you can see now there's a whole new feel to this with these kind of shingles and shit. And as you pass it through, you'll be able to see kind of a better idea, better flow. And now there's more work for the light to bounce off of. What you want to be careful of is making your piece so simple that there's nothing for the light to play on. Because the light's a big kind of player in your scenes, especially as an environment artist. So again, a big Tim Burton thing is you have one angle of a blue light. If when you get there, again, there's a lot of shit this is bouncing on. So you have one angle of blue light, and usually it's pretty aggressive. So it's enough to illuminate the area but give it a blue hue, so something like that. And then what a lot of Tim Burton stuff will do, let me add a floor just to give you a better idea. Again, hell of a studio. Like, if you're watching, I'll suck dick for a job. And the thing, too, is they still do a lot of, shit. They still do a ton of traditional claymation style stuff. What the fuck is happening right now? There we go. There we go, we'll add this in to give it that floor. Now we can even go through and add, because we've built up those textures for the floor and shit, but we're not going to do that. Alright, so you'll give this angle where you can't quite see the background, can't see the edges, so it looks like a complete scene. And then what Tim Burton will usually do is he'll add or at least Leica, the studio, it's not just Tim Burton anymore. You'll see a lot, an area light. Or in his studio, just kind of a spot. Not that one. That's a volume. I need a specific area light. There we go. And basically like a big photographer light. Well, what he'll do is he'll highlight sections that he wants you to pay attention to. So again, part drawing that audience's attention away from shit in the background. Like if my scene's happening right in here, because we do have that amount of detail now right here, he'll bring in the light. And it's almost always a brighter light. Coraline, what's the other one? Corpse's Bride. So right here, and this light's almost too harsh right there, so he may back it up. Right there. So as you see, like the back end, you'll have this kind of shadow effect where it's kind of fading out, and then right here is where the focus is. And he'll even do usually some smaller just ambient lighting right in here. That's a lot of fucking ambient light, but we don't need that much. So if the scene's happening right here, like on a street corner or some shit, and we need, kind of looking at this now, we need a lot more minute detail, so doorknobs and shit. There you go, something like that. And maybe he'll turn off the bounce so you don't get this kind of effect, or only affect certain things. So he'll turn off it affecting the floor, you know, whatever. And he'll add again, a really yellowish hue to this. But then you can kind of tell where the action's happening. So even if you're looking at all this other shit, let me do this. Let me turn off the lights. So even as you're looking at everything else, your eye is constantly drawn to this little area right here because it is that contrast. Just a little something. Anyway, we're not worried about lights right now. Again, look how pretty it is. Look at my shit. Admire me. Fucking love me. But yeah, so this is kind of the effect. And this is just one house. One modular house from this. And we can take all this away now. Let me go back into mesh display. Well, if we can get to it. How did the gun come out? Are you still working on it? Not fucking performance. I don't know. Yep, and we can do... so snow is kind of a hard one to do, at least in modeling. A lot of that's handled with texture, but we can give it a shot. Fuck it. He did it with Nightmare Before Christmas. By God, we can do it with this. Finished it? Fuck yes. Yeah, absolutely. I want to see it. I like seeing other people's shit. What is happening? Oh, and this is why. The background's still a different color. I like that effect, though. And let's see. So we're working with this currently. We're still fairly low on verts, which I'm impressed with. Oh, Billy the link. Yeah, send it on Twitter. I still haven't figured out my fucking chat rules yet. Alright guys, while you're doing that though, I'm going to take a quick breather. I'm going to grab another drink. I'll be right back. Stand by.